I betrayed my own kind. I betrayed my generation, the people I grew up with, my peer group. Now, why would I do that? It's because it's true. It is true, ladies and gentlemen. The old heads have stolen childhood. They stole it from the youths. They stole it from other people's kids. They just stole it in general. Now, what am I talking about? I've been watching these YouTube channels as I do, and a lot of guys are complaining about the closure of Blue Point Studios, the studio that brought you the crazy, ultra original title that is called the Demon Souls remake. Because the first one wasn't as good because it was Japanese. You had to do it. It had to do it to like westernize it. You know, have like the mouths moving because that's important for the gameplay. I feel like, yo, that's so insensitive of you saying, like, shut the fuck up. First of all, why is it that you get to remake a game and it's like, oh, it has good graphics? Yeah, because Demon Souls is on PS3, you idiot. And you're not gonna remake it for PS5? Of course it's gonna have better graphics. That's the expectation. That's like something you shouldn't be awarded for. You see these guys like showing their fake outrage. Oh, Sony! Oh, you lost your raise. You're throwing money away. You're like, shut the fuck up. Old heads have priced the youths out of owning a computer. Old heads have outpriced the youths, the children, the young people, young men, the future generations, our future. Whether you choose to accept it or not, your kids, when you choose to have them one day, will rely on these people, and they don't even have the ability to buy a decent console. No, they gotta switch. They gotta pay extra for a Switch number two, because someone's taking a number two on their childhood. I wonder who that is. Oh, is it this YouTuber? What's he have in the background? He's got a comic book collection. He's got some posters, some pop culture references, some plushies, some Funko Pops, action figures. Get the fuck up out of here, man. You know what I hate? These fuckers have been on the internet forever. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. They've been on the internet forever. Motherfuckers got like a fucking goddamn, entire store's worth of fucking merchandise, right behind them, talking shit on another company. Like, dude, shut the fuck up. And I'm not saying like there's anything wrong inherently with owning like a lot of stuff. If that's what you want to do, go out of your way to collect things. Well, go ahead, like that's your hobby and shit. But stop pretending like you speak for everybody when like you're just an enthusiast. Like you're too into this, and like your affection, your affinity for this stuff has caused other people to lose their childhood. I remember growing up, dude. I don't feel ashamed about saying this. I remember growing up. I I wasn't poor or anything. It's just like, I wasn't well behaved, and my parents didn't want to give me a Super Nintendo, and I really wanted a Super Nintendo, and whatever. But like, and it was pretty expensive, so like the expenditure of it, I suppose, was like, whatever, right? Eventually, I did get a Super Nintendo, and it was like, reduced in price and this and that. And it was like, next year you get the N64, so it was like, that late. But I appreciate it because after a while, I just started looking into the games that were available for the console, and then I started like emulating the games, the ones that specifically didn't come out in North America, just to see what they were like. And then it dawned on me, it's like some of the best games just never came to North America or Europe, possibly. I don't know if that how much this affected the European markets. I just don't know. But at least then I started to notice that like people were collecting, people were like trying to keep these things for themselves, basically. And it wasn't until, I guess, around the Xbox era that like collectibles, whether it was just, you know, cars or whatever, were just becoming so obscenely expensive. It became its own market in and of itself, and that's where the old heads started to come in because they just started outpricing everything. Like you have like something like Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon playing cards, and now they're just like, it's just ridiculous because the allure to these people who can't grow up to just not only profit off of somebody else's work or like whatever life, but also to like steal other people's childhood away from them because it's just like, do people need to be paying this much for a Nintendo console? Like in Japan they don't, but in America, well, let's just say in America, and I'm just gonna come out and say this, right? A lot of the people who purchase and own a Switch should not, you know, you're too fucking old, dude. You don't have any kids. I know it's your hobby and shit. And you're probably getting pissed off as I'm telling you this because I'm probably not the first and the only person, and this is probably not going to be the last time you hear this. And yeah, you could talk shit on me and be like, "Yo, your Sony PlayStation, your gay station, you know, belongs to them kids." And to that I say Concord. Yo, get a kid to play. Yo, show me that kid who's down to play Concord. Yo, I give him my PlayStation. Yo, fuck you. But yo, the old heads have. Yo, it's funny how I say that after just saying the old heads have outpriced the youths from having these things, and we got to discuss this because what is Blue Point Studios to like a young person, a person who hasn't been born or hasn't been around or doesn't even care to appreciate Shadow of the Colossus or what's the other one? Demon Souls. Fuck, I hate Demon Souls. I don't care. People are like it's a classic game. No, fuck that game. I hate it. Like, yeah, the systems are good, like RPG, whatever. It's great. It was good for its time, but the level design, holy fuck, I hate that game. Holy fuck, it's just depressing. I mean that's what these games are supposed to be, but unlike Dark Souls, where it's like semi-open world and like, you know, kind of connected together, so it's kind of fun to explore. And like, well, how am I gonna die? You know, trying to find out. Like it's kind of like a survival horror game, Dark Souls, but Demon Souls, no, it's just not for me. All right, but it has its fan base. But so Blue Point, known for me making these two games, and then they wanted to like do a live service. I believe God of War game, so in the vein of, was it Chains of Olympus or fuck, I forget. Something like it was a God of War. It was a late PlayStation 3 game, and it was online too. So it was supposed to be in the vein of that maybe, but chances are it would have been like a failure if they made it like, you know, like it was like a game like God of War is just too arcadey to just have that semi-isometric viewpoint to control your character, Devil May Cry style. So it's just like, you know what I mean, like you gotta have that third person, you know, new style God of War camera angle, at least in a multiplayer setting. Otherwise it's just everybody can see what everybody's doing. It's just not fun. But they just canceled the game because it's like, how are you gonna apply that game engine to like that kind of gameplay aspect? I don't know. Like these multiplayer games are just getting out of hand, like just one after the other, and it's like, who asked? But then, I'm 40 years old. They're not, you know, giving a shit about me and my preferences to games. Like they'll always have them, they'll always make them here and there, but the main preference to these console manufacturers are like the young people. They want to play games like Spider-Man. Or like I hear they're coming out with like a John Wick game. Pretty sure like young people will love to play that game because it's like it appeals to them. You know what I mean? Like these older games like Shadow of Colossus and Demon Souls. Like it's not even Dark Souls. Demon Souls. It's like the older version of Dark Souls, and even people like say Dark Souls. You know what I mean? Like, why didn't Blue Point fucking remake Dark Souls? For fuck's sake! Like, you have FromSoft remaking Dark Souls, and I'm like, okay, so did they add cloth physics in this game? You know what I mean? It's like an early PlayStation 3 game, Xbox 360 game. It's like, okay, maybe they'll add the cloth physics in. No, only Dark Souls 2 has it. Yo, Dark Souls 2 is legit one of the better games when it comes to like variety of like, weapons and armor in the game. Like, I'm not saying it's like second to none, but like I don't think FromSoft has ever done it like that since. Like, its new game plus cycles are garbage now. I'm even referring to Elden Ring. You know what I mean? This is an old head speaking. This is old head ranting here. Oh, betraying my kind, saying it like it is though. This is how you know I'm an old head. Talking about this shit, New Game Plus in Dark Souls 2? What the fuck is that? Gramps? Unk? Well, I'll tell you, sonny boy. You see, when you beat the game, they just add some new enemies and some new, like, encounters with your boss fights. It's like new items, new everything. It was fun. It was like you're playing a new game, the same bosses, whatever, but like, different things. Like, sometimes they have like health, sometimes, yeah, it was basically they just like add health. It's just harder, and you get new items and stuff. And then sometimes you get like different enemies you've never seen before, like ninjas. You didn't see those guys before. It was like hanging on the roof, like shinobi style. Oh, dude, good old days, good old days. And then you get like, Elden Ring, and it's like, great game, mind you, but, and here's where I get into my like hater mode. The hater mode. Okay, so not only are your new games plus cycles the exact fucking same as it was before, I can understand in a game like that scope it'd be pretty hard to do, but like how hard would it be to just add like some spawns here and there, or some like different enemy types that you haven't seen before? Like, dude, come on, so fucking lazy. So, game of the year though. Same thing with Night Rain. Dude, I haven't even touched Night Rain since like, I don't know. I was playing with my other friends and they're just like, I don't know, like whatever, and then we didn't win, and then I didn't play it because I'm just hooked on Monster Hunter. I'm trying to get like other footage. I actually got like this really good like attack, and I gotta do a clip. I did my TCS and I did like a counter attack. That was pretty cool. But the old heads who are complaining about these studio closures, these companies that are doing things in their best interests without considering the financial costs, operating costs. People, like, they not only need to be paid a salary, but there's also benefits, and you have the insurance companies. It's just like, it gets ridiculous after a while. So I'm not saying like I agree 100% with it. I'm just saying that, like, when it comes to Sony, I haven't been let down so far. I have yet to try Neo 3, and I know it's going to be really good. And hell, I have even tried Rise of Ronin, which I'm a little sad about. But it, you know what I mean? Like, it didn't really seem like that much of a game for me. Like, I'm more into the whole fantasy, bullshit aspect, I guess. Like, when I cast magical spells like a Onryo warrior, that's like Ghost of Yote. I can't wait to get some. I have some gameplay footage of that, but I was going on eBay, and as usual, I checked the SSD prices went up again, and it's not just went up again; it went up by 2 times. So it went up 2 times, and then went up another 2 times. So it basically went up 4 times initially since September of last year. Now, what that means is your PlayStation 6, I don't even know what the fuck that's gonna look like. Like, I'm looking at this, I'm like, can my brain register better graphics? Like, probably, like, I see PC builds with this. Mind you, it used to crash a lot on PC too, until they patched it. So I was just like styling on them, like, I love my PlayStation version. But I know for a fact that, like, there is, even on the PlayStation Pro, there is like better ray trace, whatever's, better frame rate on the PlayStation Pro. Monster Hunter Wilds is actually probably the best experience because it's like people be like, "What? Why don't I just get like a mega rig PC and this and that?" I'm like, "Yeah, for that, whatever, right?" But like maybe outside these new patches, which I think they're trying to make it more PC oriented. Um, that PlayStation Pro, oh my god, it looks so good. The ray traced reflections in the water and stuff, and it just looks like people want to talk smack on PlayStation Pro, but I'm kind of jealous of people who have PlayStation Pro because they get the best Monster Hunter Wilds experience, period. And then once, yo, when Master Rank comes out, you're already you know hooked up. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to get like one of those 3D cards. Like the thing that I hate the most about the 4 series and subsequently the 5 series is their leveraging of FSR and like, frame gen, which is basically fake frames for the sake of, you don't have enough tensor cores. Because when you actually think about it, I'm not trying to talk shit, so forgive me if I am, but like there isn't that much of a hardware difference between the 3 and the 4 series outside of this FSR thing. Now, people can argue to the contrary, but they're wrong, so, whatever. Like, if you have a high enough 30 series, you can easily, I guess, play most games, maybe not in 4K or whatever, 1080p or some shit like that. Well, I guess that, like, justifies. Well, you want a better resolution. You gotta get a better 3D card. That just goes to show how much of an old head I am. This 4K graphics shit is still new to me. But beyond that, right? Like the idea that all these like people want like single player experiences over and over and over again, and it's yeah, I get it. It's because you can plagiarize the entire fucking game on your channel with your live streaming bullshit like you've done for years and well decades at this point, basically stealing from the youths, the younger generations and stuff. And like for the younger generations who are somehow listening to my channel and wondering if I'm talking about you, no. You know who I'm talking about. We all know who I'm talking about. Oh my god, they don't want to let that shit go, eh? They want to constantly like have that ability to pay their bills, to have relevancy in a world where they're ultimately useless. Like we have to accept that the old heads are kind of like cancer, dog. Like you're like, okay, let me put it to you like this, right? And I'm not gonna hold it against Asman for not wanting to make a video game, because it's like whatever, he's already rich enough, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. But I find that like kind of odd that people will play an excessive amount of video games, like to a sickening degree, and like okay, fine, right? Like that's your hobby, that's your pastime, whatever. But like you don't want to make any video game for yourself. You don't want to like at least try, or at the very basic level, come up with concepts or ideas, or they want to criticize, they want to ridicule, they want to feign outrage, but they don't want to build upon the industry, the gaming industry. This is why I don't have a lot of friends, dude. Like I'm sorry to tell you this. A lot of old heads are like this, man. Like they're a lot like the older generations, where they just thought to themselves, if I don't pick up a shovel and get to work, I'm just lazy. But they never thought to themselves, why am I picking up a shovel? Who am I working for? Is this enough, to sustain myself perpetually? And the writing is on the wall when you see these old heads going out of their way to basically bash Sony, right? And I'm a Sony pony, proud, for closing down Blue Point Studios. Now, am I saying it's a 100% good thing? No. I mean, it's not. It must have, been a difficult process, most likely resulting in a form of like compromise from both parties to an extent. But with that being said, like I see it for what it is now. Like it's like the perpetual like idea that it started with Angry Joe and Angry Video Game Nerd and all these like guys who are doing retro to mainstream and to like whatever, having these like video game collections and being a hyper nerd, and they were just doing it to dress it up for the camera. I don't really think that Angry Joe is. Well, I think he is a nerd. He does play LAN parties, so that pretty much and that makes him a old head because like most young people don't even know what the fuck a LAN party is. An old head, right? But like and then he had like all the copycats from these guys, and then inevitably years after years after years, like you had just like these guys just do not want to go the fuck away, and it's like, do you actually speak for like the younger people, for the younger generations, the games that they want to play? Because look, it's so convenient that these single player games that you say that everybody wants, air quotes, are also the same games that, like, you know what I mean? Like a kid who doesn't have the money or doesn't even feel like going out to buy it can just go on YouTube, type it in, or go on Twitch or whatever, type it in, and then just watch somebody play the entire thing. You understand what I'm saying? And like every single secret, every single this, every single that. Hell, I play single player games too, dude. Like Monster Hunter is both a multiplayer and single player game. Although I do enjoy playing it more multiplayer than single player. But again, like this idea that like I somehow speak for other people, young people, this that, it's just ridiculous. Like there has to be a point in time where you look at yourself in the mirror, you say I'm like 30 something, I'm like 40 something. This isn't for me anymore. You know, like I honestly I have a prediction. Okay, Grand Theft Auto 6 is gonna get delayed, and you want to know why it's gonna get delayed? Because the old heads. Why? Uh, could be one reason or the other. Well, let's just say these game companies, they just don't want to do it anymore. And I don't blame them at all. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate your childhood before somebody else takes it away from you permanently.